This is K.M. Weiland, and you're listening to the 37th episode of the Wordplay Podcast. The latest draft of Dreamers Come, the fantasy story I completed early last year, has been sitting in my closet for almost 6 months, waiting patiently until I gain the time and the objective distance to return to it. As of this week, I'm returning with a fury. My goals for this rewrite is to trim a third of the novel's length, smooth out the thematic arc, and stomp on cliches wherever they dare crawl out of the woodwork. It's going to be a major project, but I'm looking forward to having something creative to sink my teeth into, while my other work in progress, The Deepest Breath, is still in the research phase. Don't forget to take a peek at my new video series on my blog. The latest episode, How to Write an Epilogue That Works, examines the finale of Tanya Egan Gibson's How to Buy a Love of Reading to discover how she pulled off an element of fiction that is often misused. You can watch the video on my blog at wordplay-kmweiland, that's weiland.blogspot.com. New videos are posted every Wednesday. Meanwhile, enjoy this week's podcast. Strengthen your story by writing the perfect review. As authors, we're never going to be completely objective about our stories. We're too emotionally involved, too attached to our characters, too excited about our plot twists, too tickled by our snarky dialogue. So much so that we can lose sight of the big picture. Often, when we begin writing a story, our ideas are hazy, and the final shape of the story is only a dim outline in the mist. Add to the fact that the story we put on the page will never be a perfect representation of the story in our imagination, and it's little wonder we aren't always aware of precisely where our stories aren't achieving all we want them to. But here's a little trick to help narrow the gap between your idealization of your story and its printed reality. Write yourself the perfect review. If you could have a professional reviewer read your book and totally get it, completely understand everything you are trying to say with your characters, plot, dialogue, and themes, what would he write about your story? Close your eyes for a moment, emotionally distance yourself from your story, and pretend you're that reviewer. In her fantastic free ebook, Nail Your Novel, novelist and professional critiquer Roz Morris suggests, write a few paragraphs that state what you intend the audience to feel about the characters, the experience you want them to get from the story, which scene should ideally be powerful and the effect you want them to have. This may take some time. Summarizing the goals of a big sprawling manuscript is not easy. Keep the following suggestions in mind in order to plumb the review for as much depth as possible. Be specific. Don't just let the reviewer say he loved the story. Make him tell you why he loved it. What parts are the best? What makes this piece really shine? Be thorough. Cover every aspect of story you can think of. Plot, including arc, pacing, and originality. Characters, including personalities, arc, and development. Dialogue, themes, and climax. Be extravagant. Praise your story to the skies. Layer on the adjectives of adulation. After all, you're writing from the perspective of a reader who understood and loved your story just as much as you did. So have fun. When you're finished, you'll have an explicit goal toward which you can strive in molding your story, no matter where you're at in the outlining, drafting, or revising process. Thank you for listening to the Wordplay Podcast. To read a transcript of this episode, visit me on the web at wordplay-kmweiland, that's weiland.blogspot.com, and be sure to listen again next week.